Hi friends, welcome back. Today I am sharing a little bit about myself through my favorite books. I've done reading quirks and little bits of this before, but I wanted this to feel more like if we were sitting down with a coffee and you asked me, okay, but what kind of reader are you really? So I'm answering a mix of bookish favorites and some behind the scenes reading life questions. This is very much me as a reader right now, and honestly it feels really nice to reflect on that. Right now, my favorite romance trope is Omegaverse. I think the reason I love it is that in many of the books that I've read recently, the women are plus size and the men genuinely adore their curves. The women are independent and strong, even when it doesn't necessarily fit the traditional alpha dynamic, and the men adore them for that. I also have a soft spot for small town, reverse harem, and enemies to lovers stories. These always hit differently depending on my mood. Speaking of favorites, I actually have a full list of the tropes I adore, and I'll be sharing that in a blog post on February 3rd. So if you're curious, you can check that out. Small towns, hands down. There's just something about the sense of community, the interconnected characters, and the humor that comes from small town life. It feels comforting and like I'm stepping into a world I'd want to live in for a while. I think small towns also make the romance feel more personal. You really get the sense that everyone knows everyone, and that adds warmth to the stories. I actually have three favorites tied together. Lindsay Sands is my favorite historical romance author. She builds worlds that feel totally immersive. The Highland Bride series is just magic. Kat Singleton writes these men who will stop at nothing to win the woman they love. And I love that kind of devotion. And Lana Ferguson, she writes spice that really elevates the story. It all feels so authentic. One book I think is underrated is The War God's Favorite by Jenny Fox. I'm actually on my second way through it. I love how the main character's relationship evolves over the course of the story. It feels really earned, and the plot is interesting too. Fun fact, I actually DNF'd it the first time I tried it because it just wasn't clicking. But when I picked it up a few months later, I loved it. That's a reminder that timing can really affect how we experience books, and this is actually my third run through it. Den of Vipers will always be the book that reintroduced me to reading. I was in a really dark place, and this book pulled me back into the comfort and joy of reading. And it's honestly the book that shaped how I approach my reading life now. Favorite series, hands down, is The Highland Brides by Lindsay Sands. It's the kind of series I could reread endlessly. Favorite standalone changes all the time, but currently it's The Mating Game by Lana Ferguson, which was my January favorite. I either go by mood or pull a prompt from my reading jar. I found that leaving a little spontaneity in the process keeps reading fun and fresh. Mostly mood, new releases, and my want to read pile. I like keeping things flexible so reading never feels like a chore. Right now, I'm really excited about the Never After series, Bad Bishop, and Truth or Beard. These are the ones that really make me feel genuinely excited to sit down and read. And they're part of my winter TBR, so win-win. I track my reading in a yearly journal and a monthly journal. It helps me reflect on what I've read and gives me a sense of progress. For physical books, I love picking a specific bookmark for each one. After I finish a book, I add a mini book to my reading tracker shadow box, which is right here. One of my favorite new little rituals that makes finishing a book feel super special. I reach for comfort reads when I'm unsure or my mind feels heavy. New books are great when I'm ready for something fresh and exciting. I don't annotate directly in books. I keep a notebook with me to jot down my thoughts or favorite quotes. That way, I keep books looking pristine. Highland Brides and Den of Vipers.